Okay, we're going to get started. Well, we've got 1 minute, don't we? Pretty quickly, we'll get started. Maybe I'll just get going. Welcome
So
to
maybe,
the Youth Leadership Program Facilitator Training. We are super excited to have this training. I want to welcome all of you here and let's see, it's going to be 90 minutes of fact-filled, information-packed, and sharing from experienced facilitators. I want to thank you for your commitment to the youth by being here. And I particularly want to thank these facilitators, the other people who are helping me with this training today. Christina, Wendy, and Olenari, you're all making a huge difference to everybody else who's in the room today. So, Christina, I'm wondering if you could just move to the next slide. As we grow together, this is going to be our agenda today. We're going to start with a welcome from Christina. It's going to talk about what or her why, I guess. And then we're going to move on to what is YLP. I'll do that. Wendy is going to present some sample agendas, talk about agendas, and then Anne will be talking about educational sessions. After that, Christina will be talking about evaluations, a really core piece of this program. We have a panel discussion. So Anne, Wendy, and Ulanari are all on this panel. And it's about 20 minutes. I've got some questions lined up for them, but with them we have a few minutes, up to 10, depending on how our timing goes today, for Q&A. So be sure to keep those questions in mind. We're going to wrap up with some nuggets from you, and then we're going to talk about what is next. So without further ado, I want to pass it over to Christina. Now, Christina is a veteran Toastmaster who has, I don't know, I think her name is kind of linked. She's kind of a veteran youth leadership program facilitator as well. Christina has assisted or facilitated programs more than you can probably count. But I think what gives her super credibility with this program is she has been a classroom teacher. She's like for over 25 years. So we have benefited hugely from her experience. So please join with me in welcoming Christina Cruz.
thanks, Mary. And thank you all for attending. I think there is lots of benefits about Toastmasters across the board. But one of the things I didn't know was how big an impact we could make when we actually take those skills to youth. So what I want to share with you are some of the comments that have happened over the years with people who've been involved with Toastmasters. So I did a lot of programs in the high school in Southwest Calgary, and the teacher gave me this testimony after the program. I witnessed the second success of a young peer evaluator stood up and gave an evaluation that was encouraging and inspiring. That young man knew from what he had learned to build her up with his comments and focus on what she did well with kindness and encouragement. You gave my students skills and confidence they will use in so many life situations. I'm just going to back up for a second and tell you what happened. Valerie got up to speak. She was a new student from Mexico and was taking the leadership program because she didn't have a big grasp of the English language. It was her turn to be the speaker. She was terrified, and the teacher had spent some time with her and actually had written out a script. The teacher went to the front of the room and put her arm around Valerie, and she did this 90-second speech. She sat down, and as a facilitator in the room, I was thinking, uh-oh, there's a student out there that is her evaluator, and I'm not sure what I would say. I don't remember his name. I call him a prince. He got up, beautiful blonde, tall guy, and he said, Valerie, you have the most incredible smile. And we all are so impressed with your courage to get up and speak in a new language. They voted her speaker of the day. She grew in confidence, and this young man absolutely changed the program. And what the teacher was saying was because you gave them the skills to evaluate and motivate each other, it carried way past the classroom. And it was on that day that I realized we were doing way more than teaching students how to speak. This is a student who had done the youth leadership program and was in a business program at the University of Alberta. During a university presentation, the judges could see and feel the confidence and enthusiasm I carried in my speaking due to youth leadership. I shared these skills, and our group had more energy and positive vibes compared to any other group judged by the professors for this project. This program is an asset for students. What a fun way to face your fears in presenting and feel more comfortable speaking. I gained the tools to prepare and the courage to face any fears with a smile. In the business program, they have to present a business case. This student was in first year and had been paired with some fourth years who presented with their eyes on the ground, scared and turning red. She was enthusiastic, had the eye contact of the judges, and when they finished their presentation, the judging panel said, "I hope we get to see you again in the next round." She was absolutely convinced it was because of her experience in youth leadership that she had a leg up on the other competitors. This was a grade 10 student in high school. I truly realized my potential as a public speaker and as a leader. Public speaking has suddenly become a passion of mine and something I desperately want to continue to pursue. My experience has been invaluable, and I cannot express my gratitude enough. They walked into the course not having a clue what was going to happen, but by the time it was over, this girl was so funny. The leader of the class had got up to say thank you to all the Toastmasters who were visiting on the final day. And she pushed the president of the class aside and said, "No, wait, I have to tell you how much you changed my life. This is incredible. I didn't even know I could public speak, and I love it. And I'm going to take this into my life for the rest of my life." She totally switched her focus on what she could do and the skills that would take her into a profession in the future. My favorite quote from an 8-year-old: "It taught me to be brave." And if we don't think about that as adults, junior high, high school, university, and elementary students, this is the gift we can give when we decide to be facilitators and coordinators for youth leadership. So I encourage you to follow your journey, and you will never know how the ripples will wave into our society because you step forward to give the Toastmaster skills to somebody else. Back to you, Mary.
And thank you, Christina. Doesn't that inspire everybody? I want to talk about why youth leadership, or just, I guess, what is the youth leadership program? It's a program that is really Toastmasters for teens. Young people will learn how to evaluate their own speaking ability. Just like the slide says, evaluate, prepare and deliver speeches, give impromptu talks, control their voice, vocabulary, and gestures, and give constructive feedback. So these are all elements of youth leadership: assessing, preparing, speaking extemporaneously, the impact of voice and gestures, and offering helpful evaluations. What this means is that any one program will look different for every group. An elite hockey club may want to focus on impromptu speaking. A group of middle school students may want to practice preparing and presenting. A group of high school students may be particularly interested in debating. You can definitely hone this program to fit the group. A group of younger students may be challenged just to get through a table topic. And that's the beauty of the program. Depending on where your group is coming from and what their interests are, you may decide to tune your program to the needs of that group. It's Toastmasters for teens. It's practice. The information is the textbook, and your program, just like our Toastmasters meetings, is the classroom. And it's the place where they will experience preparing, listening to their peers, offering feedback, and doing all the different meeting roles. So how do we do this? We're going to move into agendas now. And I'm going to ask Christina to just go to the next slide. This is a template, really, of the 8-week program. Now, we in District 42, we've kind of learned that, the book, the Youth Leadership Program booklet, is very focused on leadership, but it's focused on the leadership in terms of president and vice president and sergeant at arms, and the president does this role and the vice president of education does that role. And we have seen that when students take every single role, they definitely grow as leaders. I personally have seen the table topic master is the favorite role. Might take about 4 weeks to get there, but they all love table topic master. Why would you take that away from them and give it to just one person? So our programs tend to be, and I encourage you to just kind of let go of that book. In fact, I have a lot of booklets. If you want to look at a booklet, I'll definitely hand you over one. But following this particular template has been far more successful for us. So giving them skills, how to write a speech, how to deliver a table topic, how to offer feedback, how to incorporate vocal variety. What is vocal variety? Those are all things that have far more meaning and depth. Give the students skills that will help encourage them to go forward. Now, you can plan your program whatever way you want. And the person who is coordinating your program, facilitating, the person who makes it happen, they're the one who will get credit. This is a template that we have found handy and useful. And this is often a place where facilitators start. Christina, could you go to the next agenda? This is a copy of an agenda. It's just a week 4. It's kind of a sample agenda. You can see that students will be slotted in. And Wendy will speak to this. We have sort of expectations, I guess, of students. And I would encourage each of you to set your own expectations. What you want students to achieve over the 8 weeks of your program. Do you want them to be a Toastmaster? Do you want them to be a table topics master? Do you want them to do a speech? Do you want them to do 2 speeches? How many table topics do you want them to respond to? How many evaluations do you want them to respond to? Those are all things that you need to kind of incorporate over the 8 weeks into your agenda. So from there, I would like you to close the PowerPoint for now, and we are going to move on with our next presenter, who's going to be Wendy Ireland. Now, Wendy is someone who I first met as a member of my home club. She is a person who's been very inspiring to me, and she brings lots of wisdom just in her skill set. That's the kind of person that is super at Youth Leadership Program. And Wendy is going to go through what she thinks about when she has created agendas for her programs. Take it away, Wendy.
Thank you, Mary. You're giving me an awe. Thank you. I'm going to talk predominantly about 2 things. As Mary said, I'm going to talk about agendas, and then I would like to talk about organization, which is my modus operandi. The more organized you are, the better prepared you are to handle the things you didn't plan for. Okay, agendas. So this is the backbone of your 8-week program. Don't reinvent the wheel. For me, I had a Mary. And so Mary was my mentor as a youth leadership program facilitator. And I would encourage anyone who wants to take this on to get a mentor. That person doesn't have to be with you all the way through, but it sure is nice if they are. And if you have the opportunity to be a volunteer in their program that they're running, that just creates a bond in that relationship. The other place where I did utilize resources was the District 42 website, and I would encourage you also to look at that. And then, as Mary and Christina both said, you're going to get to know your group and shift as you go through. But it is a great resource if you're looking for some documents that you would like to use yourself or share with your students. And then this group, this is your resource. Those of you that are here today learning, you can obviously tap into the leaders who are here sharing their experience, such as Christina, Mary, myself, and Olanari. All right. Oh, and Anne. Get that. Agenda creation. I feel that it is kind of less stressful if you organize all of your agendas for your program. And when I say organize, I mean it is the backbone. So you have all of your weeks, you know what the topic is that week, as Mary showed the slide that, say, for example, week 1 is going to be focused on speech organization, speech topics, and table topics. And then weeks 2, 3, 4. So you know what the focus is of each week, and then you look for your educational presenters. So have a backbone. Now know that that backbone is going to get bent. Okay, so be ready for that. My other way of operating within the youth leadership is prepare ahead and then plan to adapt. Once you know your group, you're going to all of a sudden see the 8 weeks a little bit differently. But find as many volunteers as you can, or at least a pool of volunteers for that 8 weeks, and find out which days they're not available. Okay, and then you can be like, oh, can you be the Toastmaster at our first meeting? Can you show the model, the grammarian, and so forth? Because you do need a posse of Toastmasters to help you run this program. All right. I would like to just share a few examples that I've had of when I've had to adapt. And we are Toastmasters, so this is something that's just second nature to us. We show up at our own meetings and everything has changed. Somebody's sick, they don't show up. The speaker got stuck in traffic, there's a big snowstorm. But in the youth leadership program, number one, most of these youth are not responsible for their own transportation, so that can be a factor that can come in. So you need to be very compassionate about the circumstances that these youth find themselves in. And I've found in the programs that I've been coordinating, there's a certain dropout rate. So I've probably lost 2 or 3 students in the first 2 weeks. And then we usually have a wait list, so we try to fill that spot as quickly as possible. So that's the other thing. Some are dropping, some are joining at week 2. And so you need to remember to catch them up on week 1. You might have prepared for 6 youth to speak at a certain meeting, and only 3 show up, and you weren't given any advance notice. Again, we're Toastmasters. That's no problem. More table topics, please. Or you can throw in a spontaneous educational, small group work, whatever you are drawn towards as a facilitator. Have a little cache of things that you can do. And the other thing is you don't know the learning style of the youth who are going to show up. And you can get people who like to learn by listening, by looking, and by moving. Obviously, there's probably other things. And so you may have planned this blow your mind program, and you quickly find out that that's not where that particular group is at. And every group is different. So you need to be able to adapt. So that is my modus operandi. Prepare ahead and plan to adapt. I promise to share organization. And sometimes I am accused of going a little bit too far with my organizational capabilities, but it works for me. So I would like to share it with you because I don't want you to have to recreate something that is already out there. Get this on screen. So what I do is I have this is a template. I don't know if I can make that. No, if I make it bigger, it just kind of goes crazy. this is a template so that I'm able to get the bird's eye view of all 8 weeks. And so we obviously won't go through the whole thing, but I will give you the sort of lay of the land here. I have weeks 1 to 8 across the top. And then I have a place for the roles that we're going to be introducing that week. It's super small, but in the first week, we're introducing grammarian, table topics, and Toastmaster. Oh, and table topics master. So both the speaking and the giving. So by week 2, we're slotting the youth into those roles. I have a spot for theme. And then the column A is essentially the agenda, but it's not necessarily always going to be in this order. But I take this spreadsheet with me every week, and this is where I fill in the names. So at our break, in the sessions that I've run, you usually have sort of a gathering and we quickly go, who wants to be, who wants to be. Sometimes I will be looking ahead and slotting speakers. Those are obviously the biggest things that these youth need to prepare for. And then so then I go down, we have a break. It looks like one of my lines isn't lined up, but that's all right. We have 2 table topics, masters, general evaluator, and quiz master, yes or no. But on the bottom, I usually have the Toastmaster volunteers, just so that I can see who I have available to choose from. And then, of course, they would be slotted in up at the top. So I would like to share this document in the chat, and then it's obviously up to you whether you decide to use that. And I do have one other document that I would love to share from an organizational perspective. And this is where I track. Now, I leave it with the students to track their own roles and speeches and evaluations. But in the best world, we know that may not always happen. So again, this is a physical sheet that I take with me to every single meeting. The expectations of the 8-week program are on the bottom. And then each student and the attendance on the side. So the expectations that are down in blue are then slotted at the top vertically, so I'm sure you can't read them, but just so that I can then write the date in that they completed that role. Plus, it's super easy then for me to see who has what left to complete. Now, I usually also have a chart on the back of their name tent that they fill in. So I do leave it with them, but I'm their backup just because I can't help it. I'm a just in case mom. And with that, I just want to send it back to Mary and encourage you all to prepare ahead and plan to adapt and be as organized as you possibly can.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I totally appreciate that. I'm a just in case mom. But you are a just in case facilitator. And I think that is a beauty of the program, that we sign a certificate. We give the kids who complete the program a certificate. You want to make sure that they've completed the program. So having expectations, being clear about your expectations is really important. So thank you for that, Wendy. Our next presenter is Anne Nakaska. She's also a veteran Toastmaster and DTM. She's a career professional and she's been very active in her industry. She has a wide network and she's assisted at many YLP programs over the years, but she just led her first program this past year. And she didn't pick just a regular youth leadership program. No, she connected with a facilitator, a person that she knew, a work colleague in Jamaica. And she actually ran a hybrid program with a nonprofit group in Jamaica. So Anne is going to speak to us today about educational sessions, the things that she found really, the anchoring, the really important pieces that she felt were in her educational sessions. So go ahead, Anne.
Thank you very much, Mary, and welcome everyone today. Educational sessions. Well, this is right up my alley because anybody who knows me knows that I am a nerd. And so education, personal and professional development, I'm all for it. This is a list of the educational sessions that we tend to use in the Youth Leadership Program. So we start, as you saw, on the sample agendas, constructing a speech, table topics, evaluations, vocal variety, and gestures. Those tend to be the ones that we usually do in every youth leadership program. And then depending on our group, we'll choose some others like powerful PowerPoint, event planning, effective listening, and Toastmasters in the real world. So I have 3 points I'd like to make about having educational speakers. So first of all, as everybody has already mentioned, and I'm just going to reiterate it again, I really encourage you to not do this alone. I'm the type of person where I really like to be in control, so I don't like to delegate. I don't tend to invite people in as much as I really should. And I don't know that I could have ever done this without the help of Christina and Gita, who I shared the project that I was working on, and I asked them if they would be willing to mentor me. And as Mary said, I'm an experienced Toastmaster. So I have been in Toastmasters for 15 years, and I have never run a youth leadership program until this year. So don't do this alone. Ask for help and get other people involved. So that is the second point. Call on experienced Toastmasters to help you with the program, to give these educational sessions. You're going to have enough on your hands that you don't need to be doing this too. And there's lots of experienced people who are more than willing to come in. This is something that I did in youth leadership. A lot of different times came in to be the educational session speaker. And this is also a way, and this is my third point, to invite other people in. This is a great way to involve people who have sort of been stuck in your club. They're very comfortable in the club, but they don't do a lot outside of the club. Get them involved. Show them the power of youth leadership. So those 3 points, you're not alone. Call on experienced speakers and also invite other people in who may not have been involved in youth leadership. If I could have the next slide. So this was a wonderful educational, and I really loved how Christina did this with our group. So in week 1, this was about getting people comfortable to give a speech and the components of a speech. So Christina used the metaphor of putting Lego pieces together in order to create a speech. That one person, we divided them into groups of 5. One person would do the introduction. The next person would do the first point. The next person would do the second point, then the third point, and then the conclusion. So you have 5 people, and instead of having to present a speech all by themselves, all alone, in front of the group, they got to present it as a group, one at a time, each doing a part. This was so successful with our group because they were really not used to doing any kind of public speaking. This was actually a session that we used a couple of times. So although Christina presented it in week 1, we used it a couple of times during the sessions, and when we reran the group again, we used it twice. And I found it really gave people a lot of confidence in their speaking. If I can have the next slide. So other educational sessions that you most likely really want to do with your group is, of course, table topics, that whole introduction to informal speaking. And it's keep this very simple. Each of these educational sessions should probably be not more than 3 points. We don't want to overwhelm people. Now, it will depend on your group too. You might have, you might be working with 4-H where they do a lot of public speaking, and so maybe you're ramping up their skills, or you may be working with a group like us who have had very little experience in doing public speaking. Evaluations.
This is always something that's so important in Toastmasters, and I really love how we do evaluations in Toastmasters. Christina is going to speak to using the stoplight method that she used in youth leadership, and I think it was a great idea. It worked very well in our group. But another method too that you can use in your youth leadership, because it's so simple, is the 2 stars and a wish method. So what are 2 things, what are 2 stars that the person did in their speech? Usually an evaluator can come up with 2 things that they liked about the speech, and then 1 wish of what they would have liked the person to have done. And what I really like about those evaluations is they give languaging. What would you have liked the speaker to have done? And I find most people, no matter how inexperienced they are at public speaking, they can almost always do a 2 stars and a wish method evaluation. And then having a speech about vocal variety, very basic, just a basic introduction to how to use pauses throughout your speech, how to vary the pitch, and then the pace. And with gestures, again, just a really simple introduction on how to use our hands, body language to emphasize speech content. And if I can have the next slide, I'm going to speak to optional educational sessions. So depending on the group that you choose to have these additional topics, you could have somebody come in and speak on giving powerful PowerPoints, event planning, effective listening, and Toastmasters in the real world. I think actually Mary came to our group and she did a session on active listening and how to be a good listener, which is another excellent topic. We had Russ Dantu come in to our group. And if you have asked Russ to participate in youth leadership, because I know a lot of people have, and he said no, and you're upset now because you find out he came and talked to us, Russ has a very special connection to Jamaica because he travels there all the time. And he came to speak about advanced and contest speaking. And the other thing that he was able to present to our group was he was able to share with this group that one of the winners of the Toastmasters International Speech Contest was in fact somebody from Jamaica. So just how far, and planting those seeds in youth leadership, how far you can take these skills. The last thing I want to share before I go is we didn't just simply do a youth leadership program with a group in Jamaica. So this particular group are scholars who receive holistic scholarships that provide food and clothing and books, everything they need to go to school. This group of scholars come from what is called the garbage dump community. They come from families that work in the garbage dump. And when we were on hybrid, we actually were shown outside a picture of the garbage dump that is literally across the street from the facility where this particular group works. You can read more about Samaritans International or go back to past D42 newsletters. I've written a couple of articles about this group and what they're doing. So the last thing I would like to share, given that Hurricane Melissa just roared through the island, and in working with this group, what you need to know is that whole being flexible, very important. So you can have your educational speakers all lined up. And then for them, minutes before we were to go into week 2, the power went out and they didn't get power back until Friday. So having the educational speaker lined up, we needed to ask them to come back a different week. So lots of flexibility there. I just want everybody to know that all the scholars and Sonia and Tavian who were working at Samaritans International are all okay. Some of the scholars did lose their roofs and some walls, and they feel very fortunate because other parts of the island are really quite decimated. But this is a very special project close to our hearts, and Christina and Gita and then Melanie Gilliam, she also came in because she has family who grew up in Jamaica. It was a very special project to all of us. And it shows the power of what YLP can do. Back to you, Mary.
Thank you so much, Anne. Let's give a lot of love to Anne. Such a unique program. I could say so much. Anyway, we're going to move on. A foundation skill in Toastmasters is providing feedback via evaluations. So Christina has spoken a lot about this method of evaluation, and she's probably well known in District 42 as a wonderful educator in this area. The method she is going to show us today is one that she developed, and it is one that, as Anne said, we all use to some degree. Some people use it, just like Anne said, and then will add their own flavor or develop it. So please join with me in welcoming Christina Cruz to talk about evaluations.
Thanks, Anne. I think if you reflect back to one of the quotes that I said from one of the teachers, it was the evaluation part, which we knew was an educational, that actually sent them to a different level as a group who supported each other. And one of the side effects of Toastmasters that I never realized when we were doing a youth group, some of the children didn't know each other. Some of the students didn't know each other. Sometimes it's a class where they do. But being able to positively encourage each other, all of the teachers realized that that was a lasting skill. And most of the students themselves would say, I didn't realize I had friends in a different grade. So the way that we present evaluations is super important. And right from the beginning, I realized if we didn't demonstrate it, we were going to get bad role models right from the start. So we had to give it to them in pieces. And to make it super easy, we developed 3 cards, and I'll just show you them. And they're on the card. The first card is something I like. Sorry, something you did well. Something I liked. A suggestion for improvement, and your best quality. And the reason the 3 cards are so valuable is because as a facilitator, and when I facilitate, I don't stay still. I'm moving around the room all the time. I know who has what card because it's always red, yellow, green, like the traffic lights. So we don't have to repeat the words. So when the first speaker gets up, and we can use this right away in table topics, the table topic master, or the first time, the Toastmaster would hand out those cards. Now, by now, the students have introduced themselves. You may have done a group speech. You know who's strong and confident already across the room. You give them each a card and you say, focus on that one thing, something I liked. Just listen to their table topic, listen to their speech, and figure out one thing. And you're really narrowing down what they have to focus on. Imagine that compared to, here's an evaluation form. You're going to speak for 3 minutes on how this student performs. Totally setting them up to fail. Something I liked, super easy. And something I liked is not, I like basketball too. Something about the way they present. Something that you could improve. Now you've got a student sitting in the group with the yellow card and they go, oh, it was good. I don't know. I don't know. Don't leave it there, because you will have every student from then on say, I don't know, they were so good. Whatever happens the first session is what you're going to get. And we can improve our evaluations by feeding out more and more. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. So the student doesn't know what to do. Now, Mary, could you hear them very well? You were sitting at the back of the room. Well, no, I didn't really hear them. Ah, so if you couldn't hear them very well, what might you suggest they do next time? They could talk louder. Yeah, why don't you suggest that they give more volume or project their voice louder? And boom, you've already taught vocal variety without it being an educational. The last thing is your best quality, and they don't know what to say. Did you love their description of how they went to the beach and had a picnic? Yeah, that was really good. What did you like about it? Oh, they talked about how the waves were crashing. I could see that. Great. Why don't you tell them their descriptive words were really strong? Boom. You've taught a lesson on vocabulary and you've never put it into an educational. So using those 3 cards, any person in the room is able to give feedback. Imagine in your first session, you have 4 table topics. Times 3 is 12 different examples of how to evaluate. And later on, you're going to teach them about structure or about words. Change the cards to your words, your body, your voice, and you can again focus on what they're going to evaluate so that each time they get up, they focus on one part of making the speech better. And as a group, the evaluator has heard many different versions and many different criteria evaluated. So the advantage of using the cards is that you as a facilitator can see where the cards are in the room. You don't have to ask who has the first card, something I like, who has something to improve. Multiply that by 12 and you used up the time for an extra table topic. The person finishes, I just say red, yellow, green, and the transition time is decreased by about 90%. As soon as they've all done their evaluation, before the next speaker gets up, you say, give the card to somebody not sitting beside you. Give the card to somebody new. Give the card to somebody who hasn't had a turn. Give this card to somebody on the other side of the room. Whatever quote, whatever instruction you want to give to mix it up. Sometimes the kids need to move. This is a chance for them to move in the room without calling it an official break. You'd be amazed how much I walk 3 steps and give a card and sit down and be able to focus again. So each person is focusing on one thing, and you can change that one thing as you develop your educationals moving forward in the program. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't try to read this. I just want to give you a sample of what we can give them. This is years and years of collecting comments of evaluations, but if we divide it into 4, words, structure, body, and voice, we can aim to have the students understand one of those criteria. And actually what we do is we actually get it down to 3. We leave out structure and call that words. So it's just 3 evaluators after each speaker. We would do one educational on how to organize your speech and give them ideas that you want to catch the attention. You have to have good transitions. You want a logical flow. You want to summarize at the end. You want to wrap back to the beginning. That's a whole educational. But then you give them those thoughts and that vocabulary so that they can then narrow in later on in the program to evaluate each other in the structure. Different ways to use their body: hands, face, eyes, feet. It can be super simple. And we actually have keychains with just keywords. What were the details in the words? Did they add any humor? So all of these things would then increase the ability for the speakers to have specific feedback. Every feedback is a sandwich, or as Anne said, 2 stars and a wish. We want to totally emphasize the positive and encouraging, motivating part. So if you end up with a student who likes to say everything they did wrong, don't stop there. Then encourage them to go the next step. But you're not going to have to do it across a whole evaluation. They only have 2 or 3 sentences to say. And sometimes it might be 2 words. But imagine in your group of 15, 20 students, you have 4 or 5 who don't want to talk. If you give them one card and all they have to do is give one sentence, and they can do that for the first 3 sessions, they're then ready to be a table topic participant. They're then ready to give a timing report. They're eventually ready to be a table topic master or Toastmaster. And someday they'll actually do a whole speech by themselves. So when we have an hour or 90 minutes with these students, we want to get everybody up. And the common thing I hear from coordinators is, but they're really shy. Can I just let them sit and watch? Don't do it. The sooner you get everybody in, the sooner they will reach high heights that you could never imagine. I've actually had teachers say to me, yeah, but don't worry about Mary. She's really quiet. She doesn't speak English very well, and she's never going to participate. Challenge accepted. Mary will speak before this program is over. And that was Valerie. my success story through the years. Do not give up on any single student. They all have the potential to give their voice, and they all have the potential to become more confident speakers. And if you do it with compassion and heart, I promise you, you will affect all of those students by the end of your sessions. So be totally deliberate in the way you introduce evaluations, and you will reap the benefits of things that were never, ever in your objectives of you started the program. Back to you, Mary.
Thank you, Christina. Very powerful and motivating. The next item on our agenda is a panel discussion. So what I have done is I've asked 3 panelists to join me, and I would like to ask you to spotlight everybody who's on the panel, Christina. So there's Olenari, Wendy, and Anne are all on the panel. So I'm going to ask each of these people very specific questions, but I want you to have an opportunity to ask some questions after this session, or after I have done my questions. So I would really be interested in hearing what are your burning questions and who can address those questions best. So I'd like to start with Wendy. I'm going to introduce our panelists now. This will be a 20-minute session. And so I'll start with Wendy. She has assisted me occasionally, or me originally in youth leadership programs. And she's organized and led her own youth leadership program. And currently, she is now co-facilitating a youth leadership program with a Calgary immigrant youth organization. This is a large nonprofit organization. All of these experiences have been in-person programs. And most of our programs have been in person, but they come in all shapes and sizes nowadays. And to that case in point, Anne Nakaska. Anne has supported many youth leadership sessions over the years, and she recently ran her own session doing a hybrid program in Jamaica. So how was that hybrid? It was all of the students were in one space, but the facilitators were online on Zoom. These students were from a nonprofit organization in Jamaica. And as you heard, there was different challenges brought about by that. And she is someone who she first made a connection with the person, Sonia, who she speaks about in here, on LinkedIn. So who knows where those connections can come from. Our next presenter on the panel is Olenari Okumbawa. Olenari is a virtual Toastmaster. She has assisted on youth leadership sessions in the past, and she has just organized and planned her own session to be run entirely online. And this is happening with a public library system in Ontario. Her program will be starting later in the coming weeks, and this is the very first program that she's organized. So, Wendy, I'm going to start with you. What are the most significant gains by the youth in your programs?
Well, we saw a lot in Christina's opening, and I've been a coordinator twice, so I don't have this sort of breadth of experience, but I have enough to see what they're gaining. And it seems so obvious to say this, but it's confidence. We just had week 5 of our program yesterday, and you can't measure the change in the youth at that time. And at the beginning, you do kind of go, oh, shy, English language proficiency is not as high as that one, da 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 da. And by week 2, 3, 4, they're starting to blossom. And by week 5, the confidence, and I think that the joy that they feel in themselves for accomplishing something that was super scary, and also hearing from us adults that it's scary for us as well. I think that helps because we look like we're adulting so well. And it's still scary. So I think confidence, it's obvious, but it is just a joy to watch it blossom in these kids.
Thank you, Wendy. Olanari, I'm going to go over to you. How did you connect with this particular organization?
Thank you, Mary, for the question. It was one of those beautiful moments when readiness meets opportunity. I didn't think I was going to do a YLP project this year, but life happens and I was ready. And being ready, I told a couple of people, couple of club members, couple of mentors, I think I'm ready. I think I should do this. And because I had said it, I guess the heavens, the universe heard me. And boom, the opportunity came. A club member mentioned it, and I grabbed it with both hands, both legs, without thinking what I was doing. I said, what am I doing? Like, seriously. And that was how the opportunity came. Yes. Sometimes it takes you to just dream. And once you can just dream it, it will happen. And that's where I am. Thank you for asking.
Perfect. Thank you. And Anne, what are the benefits to you leading this program? Or what is the significant next step that you are going to take personally as a result of leading this program?
I think the benefit to me personally is it builds on a dream that I have of connecting career development and Toastmasters together. Christina has been involved with a number of projects I've done, including a high performance leadership project, where we've been trying to connect the career development community with Toastmasters. Because this is what I see. Toastmasters is probably the best priced professional development out there. I can't speak enough to all the benefits that Toastmasters provides people in their career journeys, starting from the youth and their group. And certainly that's what our group found. What's been happening is the older scholars have been coming to Sonia and Tavian and asking how they can get involved now. So we're talking about maybe continuing a program where they might meet every couple of weeks, and just even if they're doing table topics, just so that they're practicing speaking, and having the older scholars become involved and get to know how things are going there. I would have to say too that the other benefits from talking with Sonia, I met up with her at a conference that we both attended in June. So after we had run the first one and before we ran the second one. And she just talked about, again, the confidence. She said people who were so quiet and who were so shy at the beginning of our club, she said with one of them, she said, we can't shut them up now. They just... It's just up and talking and stuff. And what was very, very cool after the second program is that there were some students in that program who then volunteered to participate in a pen pal exchange with other students throughout the Caribbean and Mexico who were speaking a different language. And so they were interacting with people with who didn't even speak English. Like, it's amazing the projects that they're taking on because they've had this experience. So too many to list, Mary, just too many benefits to list.
Thank you so much, Anne. I really appreciate hearing from you. Ola, let's go back to you. You're a virtual Toastmaster. And how do you plan to connect with those members who will be supporting you in this program?
I would answer this in two parts: how I met with them and how I'll be connecting with them. First of all, networking made all the difference, Mary. For me, networking. And as the saying goes, charity begins at home. And my network started from home, my club members. Who can support me? Who knows who can? Who knows who has an idea, considering the timing, that it may not be convenient for everybody. That's where I started from, my club, charity from there. Then my mentors, I started asking questions. Where do I start from? Yes, I had participated, but what do I do? The good part of it is that Toastmasters is a community overflowing with willing volunteers and very skillful and talented volunteers. All we have to do is just reach out and grab, reach out, collect, reach out and just say what you need. But in saying what you need to have these volunteers on your side. You need to know them. You need to be able to reach out to them and leverage on what you have. That being said, how am I working with them, considering that I am an on-screen member? Meetings and emails and more meetings. We're having a meeting tomorrow, just so that we can be together in tune. We can be in sync. I may be here, but it doesn't matter. Thank God for technology. We can do it together. As long as we are speaking the same language, we are connecting at that level with that energy that would help us. And so it's all about connecting and communicating and letting them know what I want, and we'll be fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Eleanor. You sound like you've got a really big vision, and I think that that's a place to start, isn't it? That you can communicate and connect your vision to your people. So we're talking about communication. I want to move over to Wendy here. The group that you're working with currently is a group where privacy concerns are pretty big. What has been your experience with communication with your group?
Communication is the bane of all existence, right? This group has meant all of the facilitators have had a few extra steps to take to be permitted, to be deemed safe to come in, which is great because the youth always need to be the priority. However, having now worked for open, I guess, communication where I could have direct access to the students, and then now being in a nonprofit, it's harder to communicate directly with the students. And that's tough because I love to share things in between and I like to support the next role that they may be taking, and all of that has to happen in person. Having said that, we do have a WhatsApp group for our group of youth, thinking that WhatsApp is so cool and we're pretty cool. However, they don't engage a lot. We do get some thumbs up and hearts. And they're obviously reading it because the speakers come prepared the next week if they show up. So this is it is the only way we have communication, and through the organization, but the organization is very busy, so we can't rely on them to be a third-party communicator within a time frame that would work for us. So I would say talk as much as you can and get commitment right in the room before you leave for that week. And if possible, have a WhatsApp group. Now, our group is all junior high school students, so they all do have some type of device. That is not true with all of the youth. And the assume that they're paying attention when you don't think they are. I think that's the best, is they don't always respond, but they're listening. Thanks, Mary.
And thank you, Wendy. Wow. You've touched on, alluded to something that was in my mind, was that safety consideration. This nonprofit is doing a lot of work to do all those checks, all those government checks, but ensuring safety just of the students and of yourself is a piece of it. You mentioned you were doing a group that you did that was just kind of open-ended, or it was open. And I remember I've done a group like that where it was a weird time and no people weren't going to be able to come. So I just wanted to make sure there was another adult volunteer who was going to be in the room all the time. So I just kind of felt that it kind of ensured a safe playing field for all of us. Anne, I'm going to move over to you now. Your program was a hybrid program. Was there special considerations that needed to be attended to in this format, and how did you manage that?
So managing the hybrid meeting was probably the biggest challenge of running the program. Running YLP was very simple. Running the tech was beyond anything we've ever dealt with before. So I'll take you back to the very beginning in the very first meeting. Picture that we have the adults in the room in Jamaica. So we have Sonia and Tavian in their room with the scholars. Christina, Gita, and I are online. In order for them to see us on the large screen that they had the lights out. So we're looking at their room in the dark. Everybody is in the dark. And then we had horrible sound issues. So we couldn't see them and we couldn't hear them. And then we asked them to speak, and then we gave evaluations on what they had done. I don't know how Christina did it, because I didn't understand a word they were saying. And Christine was still able to pull stuff out of there, which was so impressive. So with the hybrid, it's helpful to have people. So this would be my recommendation. It's helpful to have people in the room who are Toastmasters. Neither Sonia or Tavian are Toastmasters. Tavian ran the tech. Sonia was in charge of the program. And then Gita and Christina and I were trying to sort of control the room remotely, which was kind of insane and a bit of a, well, I'll just call it a nightmare. I could call it something else, but it was crazy. And then we were also dealing with students coming in. The bus doesn't run; it runs on Jamaica time. So students were coming in late all the time. So there was lots of different stuff that was going on. But it was really fun in able to do a group with somebody else and show them pictures of Canada out our window in the snow, and then they showed us, where they were, and so lots of benefits. But yeah, so lots of challenges. Back to you, Mary.
How can you end this? Lots of challenges, I bet. Oh my gosh, that sounds like a nightmare. I want to open this to the floor, though. So, Christina, I want to ask you to take off the spotlights so that we can see who's on the floor, and I can ask people for questions. So, if you could just if you could react by raising your virtual hand. I know Lena is a timer, and she's got her hand raised, which is great. But I just want to hear from you if you've got any burning questions that we for our panelists or for our speakers today. Masood, you've got a question.
Yes. Of course, I have a luxury of having a couple of months ahead to start a youth leadership program. But I was wondering, either of the panelists or Christina, based on your experience, what would be the most efficient time that you start planning before ahead?
Now.
Okay, I heard it.
I think, Masood, the sooner you put out the dates that you need people, the greater chance you have of getting the people you want. There's a lot of things going on in Toastmasters. There's a lot of things going on in people's lives. If you have a pressing time, Friday night is when your session is or whatever, everybody's busy on Friday night. But if you tell me 3 or 4 months in advance, I'll book that day because I want to be part of making a difference in the program. So I think and then when they see all of your dates, don't ask people to come to one session. Come one to meet the kids before, so you're not, especially if you're with a vulnerable group, you don't want a stranger coming in every time. So they come 2 or 3 weeks before their time, And then the students go, oh yeah, we've seen this person before. They're a Toastmaster. Because they don't want to talk in front of strangers. You need to become their support. You need to become their solid rock. You're there every time and you're bringing a very special friend, me or Wendy or Anne, who you can trust is going to bring them to greater confidence. So the sooner you get it out, I mean, a year in advance might be asking a lot, but 4 months in advance is not too much because if you don't have those people, who's doing all of those sessions? You're the only one that has it booked on the schedule. So now.
Okay. Well, I wrote down all the names here, and so everyone expect January 10th to February 28th, Saturdays 12:30 to 2:30. I will be calling you. Thank you.
So that's a great question, Ms. Sue. Thank you very much. I think as well, like I remember somebody who the person who actually started the planning for the program that Wendy's involved with. It's a nonprofit organization for immigrant youth. Because of all the checks, the police checks and government checks, whatever, she probably started planning this session, or she started talking about it last January. So, and that's a program that started up the end of September or mid.
Ours is grade 2, it's cadets.
Perfect. Anyway, it's just it depends, but it's never too early. Diane, you've got a question.
Hi, and thank you for the opportunity to ask questions. I don't have any contact with schools or kids, and so I'm wondering how we make it happen if we are really interested in doing this. Are there people who can help us find opportunities to do a youth leadership program if we don't have those already in our life?
Your question is music to my ears, Diane. I've probably got about 3 potential groups right now that are looking for a program. So it's probably been more that as a coordinator for the district, I'm really wanting to be your connector. So at the end of the last slide and in this training is my email, and I know Diane, you've probably got my email, but I have some connections for you. I want to be the connector between people who want to facilitate programs and those people who want to have a program. So you are in the right place right now. Thank you so much. I love to talk to you.
Thank you, Mary. Yay.
Are there any other questions?
Diane, it's interesting because I love what Mary said. It's music to my ears because we have groups who are looking and then we don't have people who we confidently can send to them with experience or with connections or with resources. Because the people who just say, I'll do it and haven't done this, Mary and I already did that. We made all the mistakes for the last 20 years. Start way ahead by connecting with the people who've been there. And I want to congratulate Wendy and Anne too, and even Ola, sorry, all of you in reiterating that it is a team effort. And Mary and I have been singing this song for a long time, but to hear it from other people who believe in it and will send it forth, our District 42 Youth Leadership Program is getting stronger and stronger. And if I could just add one more thing, stronger and stronger and more adaptable to so many different things. Online, in Jamaica, vulnerable kids, young kids, old kids, kids that know each other, kids that don't know each other, kids that are part of cadets, kids are part of scouts, kids are part of Optimists, people who are going and doing contests outside of Toastmasters and getting scholarships. The opportunities and the way we can connect these students to those skills is huge. And it starts right in this room. So huge, huge gratitude to all of you for stepping forward and being willing to be part of that difference.
And I think that is a critical piece, Christina, that you've mentioned, that this is a way of taking Toastmasters into the world and having huge impact. Because if we're impacting kids even, but youth especially, we're impacting them at a stage in their lives where they will have enormous impact. I know I didn't start Toastmasters till I was kind of in my 40s or whatever. I thought, why didn't I know this like years ago? Why didn't I have this experience, and why didn't I hear about this a long time ago? So I would encourage you to see this as an opportunity to take your Toastmasters farther, because it has a huge impact and it is well worth it. So I don't see any other questions. I just ask one more time. Is there any other questions? Oh, Masood, you've got another one. Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to be pest.
That's okay.
I was wondering if the events of the Youth Leadership Program can go on district calendar, and also we can have guests to be given it's allowed to have extraordinary people can come to the event. Would that be possible or no?
That would be a good question to, let's see. Olinari might know a little more than me as a district officer right now. So I'll ask Olinari. That the event calendar is not in her purview, but I'll definitely ask that of the district trio. That I will know just from past experience that there is some reluctance to put too many events on the district calendar. It's not a good way to promote. Your own networking is probably the best way to promote things.
Yeah, the purpose was that, the networking, but I was wondering if it is a common thing to do or not.
It hasn't not been, but Olinari, why don't you speak to that?
I'll let Arobo speak and then I'll speak because she is the admin for District 46.
Yes, Arobo.
Hi guys, good morning. Apologies that I will not be able to put on my camera, but you can hear my voice. So with regards to Musud's question, it is a good way to publicize what you're doing. There is the newsletter that goes out every month. You should connect with Vesna to write about what you're starting, what you're considering doing, when you want to start, call out for volunteers, give a map of what you want to do with it so that you can pick people's interest, invite people via that means. So that's one. It can be on the calendar. However, what we do with the calendar is we put the district's main events on the calendar. Otherwise, you have everyone requesting a spot on the calendar, which makes it really full, right? But what we can do is we can have a subsection in the calendar where we highlight the upcoming youth leadership projects and things like that. So that we can do. But please use the letter, the blog, Christina talked about the blog. Yeah, so use that to promote what you're about to do with the youth leadership project. That should work.
Go ahead, Christina.
Actually, I was just going to say, if you go back, Masood, into the blog, you'll see what Anne experienced in Jamaica. You'll see what there's a couple other blogs with different groups. And I think, if anything, at the end of this session, there's a template, but you got to make it yours. So go and find out how people altered the program because there was no power, because the buses were late, because it's a vulnerable group, because they were really young, because they were really old, whatever, because they don't speak English. There's a lot of people that have massaged the program to fit. And I think if there's anything about today's session is we want you to be creative in meeting the needs of the students that show up in front of you. And I can't tell you how you're going to change it. I can't tell you what it's going to look like even after the first session for what it'll look like at the eighth session. But I will tell you this. When you're finished, you are giving a certificate with your name on it as a coordinator. And our core values include excellence. So your excellence is going to look a lot different than anybody else in this room, but you should be really proud. And what I think in my own heart, when I write my name on that youth leadership certificate and I run into one of those students 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, and they say, I remember, Don't kid yourself, it'll happen. And you say, I know they can speak. I know they evaluated. I know they took a leadership role. And I know they've done table topics. And I was part of that. So think about the program you're developing, whatever you start with, all the beautiful templates Wendy's shown you and Mary's put on the website, and then figure out how you're going to make it the best for the students that appear in front of you. And
Thank
use the team. You're not by yourself.
Thank you. Yes, of course, I have a robo beside me, and that's a great asset. And of course, everybody else. I
I
count on
think as
everyone.
well, the team is a fluid thing. If you hear Christina talk about the team, if you look at pictures or whatever that she puts up, it's like veteran Toastmasters. You sort of think, oh my God, how can I ever do that? But you don't. You know exactly what you said. You have a robo sitting next to you, or you have a team, a club member who contributes to your team in an amazing way. Or like I found Wendy, like she's a member of my own club. Like, how did I find Wendy? Like, and no, she's not she's not as veteran as me, but you know, like she's becoming a veteran Toastmaster, but she's a veteran YLP person, and she has added so much to my own programs. So I know as now that she's one of my go-to people. I want to move along here
Thank you.
and talk about next steps. So I'm going to ask Christina to put up that next step slide. Well, actually, this isn't the next step slide. We want to talk about nuggets. And I would like to sort of go through the group here and just talk about, to just kind of hear from you, what's a nugget, 2 or 3 things that you have heard here today that you're like, you just think, wow, like that is going to be really impactful for me in my program, in my going forward, in my information. So, for example, I will just add that this is the very first time I've seen Wendy's template for the full 8 weeks. I saw it in the room when she was walking around with this sheet that she's taped together, but that has made a huge impact for me because seeing the program 8 weeks at a glance with that much detail has been huge for me. So thank you so much, Wendy. I am going to ask Olinari, is there something that you have seen today?
Thank you for asking, Mary. It's that bit of just do it, whether you're ready or not. Jump and just know that there are loads of Toastmasters who would catch you. You would fall. Just jump, just do it. I mean, there's Wendy. I'm coming for you, Wendy. There's Anne, and I'm coming after you. Christina, I have you. So that's it. Just do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Olinari. How about you, Ali?
For me, I learned so many things. Number one, I put it in the chat, but number one is the YLP is more than public speaking. It's about discovering your voice, leading with confidence, and inspiring others. And number two, in just 8 weeks, teens learn that leadership is skills you practice, not a title you wait for. And number three, every speech, every role, every evaluation is a step towards becoming more confident communicator and thoughtful leader. And number four, that YLP shows youth that mistakes aren't failures; they're opportunity to learn, improve, and shine next time. And last but not least, leadership isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about listening, supporting, and helping others grow. And back to you, Mary.
Thank you, Ali. Lena, are you able to communicate? Did you even consider? Did you just work on the time?
No, I'm consider. I'm not working on the time now, free. Thank you so much for putting on all this program in 1.5 hour. Everything on time until the last part. I was a little bit confused about what next, so I keep timing the speaker. Oh no, this is what next on 5 minutes. But yeah, in 1.5 minutes, you all put together. I like all the presentation from Wendy, Christina, and Anne. Also the panel discussion from different experience from Wendy, the nonprofit one, deal with all the privacy thing, and Christina and the Anne with the hybrid and what is called nightmare and and Olanari. I didn't catch what your group you work on, but it's very good sharing. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing all this and record it. So everybody that interested in the can go and look at this again. I learned a lot. Thank you.
And thank you, Lena. Christina, anything you learned?
I like I think although we've been doing it for a long time, I love seeing how far people are reaching to make the program fit the students they have. Students are different than 20 years ago. Students are way more diversified than 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and that we have the capacity and the expertise in our District 42 to reach those students regardless of where they are. We've now realized Ontario, Jamaica, and where they're at. And I think one of the challenges as a coordinator is to not underestimate what the students can do, but reach them at their level and push them to the next level. And it warms my heart so much to see so many people want to make a difference. And back to what you said, Mary, if all of us could have started earlier, imagine where we would have been through our careers and in our relationships. So that gift that we give those people, and it's interesting how many children are bringing their parents to Toastmasters so they too can experience confidence in their world. So my heart goes out to all of you for wanting to be part of this. Thank you.
And thank you, Christina. Wendy, what about you?
I think that leadership in any capacity can be time consuming and stressful. And it just adds one more thing to your plate. But what I'm taking away from listening to Anne's story is that don't give up. So I am just gobsmacked that you carried on when all the lights went out and you couldn't see anything and the bus, whatever, right? You just, to use an overused word, but you pivoted and you didn't say, oh, well, this isn't going to work. So that's what I am taking away is the yes, it is work. Yes, it's something else on your plate. You're making a difference, and also don't give up. The circumstances are not in your control all the time.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Wendy. And how about you, Anne?
Thank you, Mary. So I have to say, first of all, using the word nightmare is that's how it felt for me because I am a control freak. So when I don't have things in control, it's like so what was really nice to see was the progression in how the technology we were able to improve it and get the room organized because we're not in the room, so we can't say, oh, put this here and put that there. So that was a challenge as well. But what comes down to, and what I really heard reiterated here today, is the impact on the students. Just over and over again, the impact that this has on the rest of their lives. So important, and that's the motivator for going through and having the tenacity to make it work, because it's really important work. And I can't stress that enough. And the last piece that was also reiterated here today that I mentioned with the educational sessions is just having other people involved and getting other people involved. That really came across today for me, listening to everyone talking about putting together their team and having other people involved. Because the more people that we have impacting these youth, the more people they have in their life helping them.
Thank you so much, Anne. Good words of wisdom. How about you, Diane?
Oh, wow. So many things. Some of my favorites, I'll be really fast, are the things that you do that break it down, like the Lego example. I love it's just one part of constructing a speech. And I love the stoplight evaluations. Again, one card. and the coloring of it, that as the facilitator you can just look and see the card. I love that. I think that is an awesome way of doing it, and just giving them a small bit at a time to build on each of those skills. I really like taking it apart into small bits and building. Thank you for
Thanks so
those.
much, Diane. And Jen, how about you?
Hi there. Good morning. Yes, I'm just going to piggyback on what Christina mentioned because it resonated with me, where she spoke about a particular student wasn't, where the teacher said not to call on a particular student because she wouldn't say anything. That was me many years ago, and I wish I had heard about youth leadership program because a lot of people given up on me because I was quiet, reserved. And yeah, that just touched my heart, Christina. Don't give up on the quiet people.
Thank you so much, Jen. And how about you, Arobo?
It was really, really interesting, Mary. Thanks for putting this together. I wish I attended more of these kinds of meetings before I did mine. What Jen said is 100. Christina on got an award for, I can't remember what it was, but the cadet who had changed the most through the year. And if you know on, she couldn't speak one word. She couldn't even lift up her head when we started. But this kid, it was a complete revolution. And I was at Rocky Mountain House a few weeks ago. Faust gave a speech because he won the best cadet of the year. If you see this boy, I couldn't help but cry because I knew where he started and I knew, what we had done to change his life completely. So I'll say what Christina said about excellence is 100. We need to have that in front of us for every time that we step in front of those children. Do not underestimate them. The examples that we set, that's exactly what they'll follow. So keeping to that and hammering on what we think they can do better it's a life-changing program. If you know me, you know that my worst fear is the fear of the future. And so I spend every day thinking, how can I arm these little tiny individuals with what they'll use to step into the future? And this is all I have. So if you have a YLP, call me. If I can, I'll show up and give what I have. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Arobo. That is a wonderful offer that you will give. You'll give what you have because that's really all that all of us or all of any of us could do. You've really witnessed some transformations. That's wonderful. Irma, I see you in the room. You're a veteran YLPer. Did you take anything away from this?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for a wonderful session, ladies. I thoroughly enjoyed it. When I had to do my YLP session way back when, it is just at the beginning of COVID, and Christina and I had to work to really figure out how to do it online, completely online. It was the first one that was done online. And then when I look how far it's come, how far that program has come over the years to where it is today, and how robust and how all-encompassing it's become to adapt with the different kinds of youth, the generations, the cultures, the environment, where they come from. I am blown away in what this district and this group of people accomplished, because I believe our youth, they are future leaders, and with us behind them, they cannot go wrong. And I am just so grateful to know that I'm in the company of giants here. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Irma. Masood, I know you need to leave right away here. Are you there? Are you able to respond?
Yes, I will be very quick, and I have to go. My client is here now. Well, this meeting was absolutely all nuggets. It's easier for me to say what I shouldn't do. and that is not to quit. And because I don't know if you can see my hand, I'm a little bit shaky because it's quite nerve-wracking. It is quite overwhelming at the beginning. I'm pretty sure once we get into and we roll forward with the team that have suggested to me that they are going to support me, I am very, very blessed to start this program. And I know that program is very, very great cause for the cadets to do the youth leadership. And actually, it looks like Aruba did such a great job last time that they, in fact, wanted this to be repeated. So that must have been quite a good outcome for the previous program. Now they are going to repeat it. I know that I'm filling a big shoe. I hope that I can really do the excellence that Arobo has put before. I can feel that.
Thank you so much, Masood. And thank you, everybody. That is a really a heartwarming sharing that everybody has done. Christina, I wonder, could you just put up that last slide? This is just, it's just the what next, attending training. So check mark, you did that, good for you. Participate in a session. So just like it's been mentioned here, be an assistant for someone else's program. That is a wonderful way to see what youth leadership programs are about. You can assist an education, a coordinator by doing an educational. You can assist them by filling in that agenda. You can do the check marks. You can be the person who is, well, just like Wendy's doing that right now. She's being the person who is really carrying a huge, her shoulders are really big. She's really helping that coordinator right now. You could be the coordinator. You could be a mentor to that new coordinator, just like Arobo is doing right now to Masood. That's a program like that. That's wonderful. It's a program that's already got a venue and some students, and getting those things in place is gold. Well done. Let us know teams or groups that you are aware of that would benefit from YLP. I want to end now on just this final note that self-confidence is really a superpower. Once you start to believe in yourself, magic starts to happen. And we have heard that from so many people here today. They have seen that magic start to happen. They've seen that magic happen. So you can be the key. You are the one who can introduce you to these concepts, to that confidence. It's amazing to see. So I am going to put my name and my email address here in the chat, just in case you don't have it yet. But otherwise, that is the end of our session. Thank you to the people who have supported me in providing this training, to Christina, Wendy, Anne, Olinari, and Lena. You have really made it come together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wendy, for always championing our youth.
Thank you very much, everybody. Look
Thank you for
forward to seeing
attending.
you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Great job, Mary.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Good job,
coming.
every speaker. And Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks,
Thank you
Ali.
so
Thank you,
much.
Olinari.
Everyone.
Thank you, Lena. I really appreciated that consistent timing.
Yeah.
We got done. It's only 11:05.
We did it. You're
Hey,
amazing.
on time. Yeah, when I look at this, oh yeah, on time.
That's because we had a great
The last
timer.
part,
Yeah,
the last
okay.
part, Mary, I got confused after the Q&A for the panelists. I miss out
Changed
what
it.
your next one, Mary,
That
5
was
minutes. So
awesome,
I
Wendy.
keep
You do that.
I said timing each speaker. Oh, that the part of the 5
No, no,
minutes.
no. it was kind of nice to have this. It's a bit of a loose ending, but that's okay. So I'm going to stop the recording right now. Just a sec. I'm going to turn my camera off.
That's the 2 thumbs up. It's just Zoom's response.
Okay.
But 2 thumbs down? Isn't that hilarious?
Hilarious.
Why am I not working? Oh,
I don't know. Oh, because your background's on.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Where do you get it? Under